Everybody, welcome. This is the Paarl Business Lab. Nice to see a few new faces. This is just a lab that we started probably just to create a home for the entrepreneur in the Paarl and Wellington area, but also we're in the storytelling business. So what we do is we tell stories about people, and then people can walk away with a lesson from a journey. So specifically with the Paarl Business Lab, we speak to business owners. In the past we had, I think Gerhard is our 8th or 9th guest. And yeah, we just chat to them about their journeys, why they started, why did they leave corporate world, why would they do such a thing and start their own business. This is just a platform where the entrepreneur and business owner can also network with each other and also get to know who's who in the Paarl environment. So tonight I have a very special guest. This is the first one for 2022, and previously we did it with new technology where you did everything live, and it was live on Facebook because we thought people are at home, they don't want to come out for COVID, but it's actually quite nice to see more people here. We're not going to do it live anymore, it's going to be pre-recorded. So the guest today, like any other guest, is very, very exciting. I've got Gerhard van Deventer here, those of you that don't know him. Gerhard is the founder of Incanda. I'm saying it wrong. I want him to tell me what the right name is, how to pronounce the word correctly. But I mean, Gerhard's also got a nice story, and that's why I wanted him here, because he started from scratch and now he's got a very big enterprise, about 200 employees, and he's got, I think, 2011 he had an interview with some magazine, and he said hopefully in the next 10 years he wants to be right over South Africa, and it's 10 years later and he is all over South Africa. He's got six outlets all out South Africa, and Durbanville, Paarl, Somerset West, Pretoria and Hermanus. But what's also nice on his website, they have a nice story about where he started, and I thought, by way of introduction, I want to just read an insert out of it because it's actually got something quite interesting. So it starts, he says, introduction, he grew up on a farm in Swellendam, and he was selling products, but he has it in inverted commas because, of course, it's not products when he started. So he said, from quills and feathers start, I gradually migrated into the tanning and selling of all kinds of game, skin like zebra, springbok, and also bovine leather. After the second or third client asked me if he knows anybody who can do actual upholstery. I said, yes, we definitely can. And with we, he was referring to the people that works with him. And he said, I was about to recruit feverishly, and he helped me to do this new endeavor. So in 2003, after lots of blood, sweat and tears and obliterated stitching machines, too long story to tell here, we delivered our first 2 couches from a garage, from a double garage. This is where the start of Gerhard's adventure started, and the name of Incanda started, which literally means porcupine in isiXhosa. But also what's very fascinating about Gerhard's story, 5 or 6 years later, 2008, on the onset of the financial crisis, we already produced around 70 to 80 couches per month. But also what's also very interesting about Gerhard's story is that he, as an entrepreneur, dabbled in a lot of other businesses before he found what he's doing today. And I tried to summarize what he did. He said that he had a sawmill, he wanted to venture into antique refurbishment, he had an art gallery, interior decorating, even flooring. He has an IT company as well. He started doing handbags, bought a company with handbags. And then he also, very funnily, also on the website, he did building and renovations, shop fitting and curtains. And today, Gerhard is the owner of Incanda Furniture, 200 people, 6 outlets in South Africa. Was that a good enough introduction, Gerhard?
Wow, no, it was a very good introduction. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining. I mean, this is the first one for 2022, and I'm super excited for your story because I read the summary and I thought, okay, but this is the right person. I know you tried to decline me in the first time, but I would have come for you if you declined for the second time. So what's keeping you busy?
Ooh, at the moment, COVID. COVID is such a ubiquitous theme in the country at the moment. Okay, we going to the end of it, but still, it was challenging. But I must say, in the furniture industry, we actually did well through COVID.
Okay, nice, man. So people are working from home, and the wife decides, I don't like this couch anymore. Let's get Incanda going.
So there's definitely a trend that people stayed more at home and they definitely invested more in furniture. So yeah, it's sad for some industries if you're in the hospitality sector or something like that, but in the furniture sector we actually did well.
Yeah. So tell me just a bit of your childhood. So you grew up on a farm in Swellendam.
Yeah.
And why are we an entrepreneur? Because normally you'd be on the farm and you carry on what Daddy did.
So maybe the old question of is an entrepreneur born or made?
Yeah.
I think, let me just say, obviously an entrepreneur can be made as well. But my feeling is that die-hard entrepreneurs like a Richard Branson or those kind of guys, they are born. That you can't make that. So I was also born a little bit of an entrepreneur. Not that I want to say I'm a Richard Branson, not at all. He's a different animal. But I was definitely born a bit of an entrepreneur. I had my first business when I was in standard 4. What is that? Grade 6.
Yeah, grade 6.
I started growing lettuce on the farm.
Okay.
And I sold that lettuce at the local farmers market. Our co-op had a farmers market where you could take your produce. And that was, oh man, it was just, I fell in love with the idea of doing business. So that was my first business. Luckily we had a gardener that helped me.
Okay.
And then when I was in grade 8, what's standard 6, I went to boarding school.
Okay.
And there I saw a very big gap in the market, and that was popcorn.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So yeah, we were 250 boys in the boarding school, and you know they get hungry. So I asked my parents to buy me a popcorn machine, and I made these little bags with popcorn, all the psychedelic colors, yellow and red and green and blue, and I sold that popcorn to the guys. That went very well until my popcorn machine, I overstretched it a little bit. Then I decided there must be easier ways to make money. And
but how old are we now? So
grade 8.
Wow.
So I still grade 8.
Second business, grade 8.
Yeah. So then I saw another gap in the market, and that was to become a barber. Because there was hair inspection every few weeks, and the teachers were very strict. And so I paid Herman Lawrence 2 rand. Okay. I said, okay, I give you 2 rand, then I can cut your hair.
Okay.
So in exchange for having a guinea pig. So I cut his hair, and then I did quite a good job. And then I started cutting hair. And by grade 10, I started asking 5 rand per cut.
Okay.
Now it sounds like nothing, but for me it was good money. And the teachers, I would become like the resident barber. The teachers would have hair inspection and say, okay, go and have your hair cut with Gerhard.
Yeah.
So that was my school career, but it didn't stop. I just couldn't stop myself from doing business. So when I was at varsity, in my 3rd year, you know,
What were you studying? Sorry, what were you studying at varsity?
BCom.
All right, cool.
Yeah. And I had to pay most of my studies myself. My parents didn't contribute everything. So I had to make a plan to actually give ends meet. So I started a spit roast business.
Okay.
And in my 3rd year, and during that year I had about 20 functions that I did.
What?
And the biggest function was for 200 people. We spit roasted 5 sheep on the spit.
Wow.
So that was, I just did that in between my studies and stuff. If I think back about it, I think, yes, Gerhard, you were crazy. But it was just, it's in your genes.
Yeah.
You can't not do it.
Yeah. But I mean, what is that entrepreneur thing? So you grew up on a farm. Was it the father was also in business? Was the mother also in business?
My father had a good knack for business. He liked to buy and sell sheep and all those kind of things. But yeah, I always want to say a restlessness. Most entrepreneurs have a bit of a restlessness in them. And that comes out quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I look at your script here. We had 10 businesses within the Incanda started, but not everything worked out.
So that's one of the first lessons that you have to learn, is that if you want to be restless and take on new challenges, then you have to understand not everything is going to work.
Yeah.
You've got to live with that.
Yeah. Okay, so where does so first tell us Incanda, I'm saying it wrong, so
Yeah.
you tell me the story.
So, allow me to just
100%.
explain where it comes from.
Yeah.
So, maybe I can just quickly tell my business story. So when I finished varsity, I knew I wanted to start a business, but I had that classical problem of entrepreneurs. I didn't have any money. so I decided I need to start something that won't take that much capital. And since we had on the farm we had these Nguni cattle. So I'll get to the how you pronounce it, the name. But let me just tell the backstory. So we had some of these cattle on the farm, and I just want to show it to the guests.
Yeah.
This is the typical Nguni skin.
Oh, it smells nice.
Yeah. And so I asked my dad if I can have some of the skin stand. And these days you see it everywhere, but at that point in time it was really, really very novel. So not a lot of people did that. So I had this skin stand and I sold it to a guy in the gardens up in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And so that was basically my first the start of my business career. And then from when I was in his home where I sold the skins to him, I saw this. This is a lampshade made out of porcupine quills. And I immediately realized, that's something I can do because we've got porcupines on the farm. And so then I asked him, but listen, can I make you some of these lampshades and then you can sell it? Because he had about a container going over to the UK every week. So he was a big businessman. And he said, okay, if you can supply, then we can do it. Yes, and I went and I figured it out. I pricked my fingers a lot of times. But I figured out how to do it. And then I started supplying him with these, with the lampshades. And then I realized, but I've got a business. I mean, I've got 2 products now, so this qualifies for a business. And
wait, how old are you now? Like, this is like your 20th business at what age?
No, so I must have been 24, 25, 24.
Jeez.
So I studied a bit, so I studied for 4 years. So actually a bit longer. I did a master's degree as well, but then I did a stint of working. I lectured first year economic students while I was doing my master's degree. So that was I wasn't. I can't say I've only been in business for my whole life. But in any case, so then I realized I need a name for my business. And my wife had a isiXhosa booklet there with it's Afrikaans and English and isiXhosa translations. And then I looked up the word for porcupine. And the word for porcupine is Incanda. So I decided, I'm going to call the business Incanda. And then, but unfortunately, yes, people struggle to pronounce it correctly. So it ended up being Incanda, but it's actually Incanda.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was the beginning until I got a name for the business. But then things from there, it rolled over. So the next thing what happened, this same guy asked me one day when I came to deliver the porcupine quill lampshades, he asked me, don't you know of anybody who sells zebra skins? I need zebra skins. And I said, don't you worry, I've got zebra skins for you. Give me about 2 weeks, then my next consignment is coming in. Yes, the day. And I went Yellow Pages. Those days, there were no Google. There was just Yellow Pages. So I Yellow Paged until I was blue. And lo and behold, I found a guy 2 blocks away from him who sold zebra skins. And I went to this guy with my little blue bucky, and I bought skins from him. And I took it up to this guy, and I sold it 2 blocks away. Sold it to him at a profit. So
Wow.
then I realized now I'm in business. I've got 3 products:
Yeah.
Nguni skins, quill shades, and zebra skins.
What was the first order of those porcupine of the lampshade? So how many did you buy for your, like he told you, oh, I have a container, I'm going
Yeah.
so how many did you
Yeah.
make?
I think the first order was about 10 shades.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And you're doing
then
this all alone? Or?
the first order I did alone. I can remember I've never worked that hard in my life.
But how did you get the porcupine things from the porcupine? Like, how do you get it from there?
You take it out.
Oh,
It's-
okay,
yeah.
all right. I thought you had to like go fetch them when they're on
No,
the
but they
ground.
did by the time you do.
Oh, all right. Okay, cool. Okay, so we have 3 products now,
Yeah.
and we got this guy sending containers overseas, and you've got a business now. So we've
And
got
I've
a
got a
name,
business, I've got
and
a
you've
name,
got
I've
a
got
business, and you're
everything.
working from a garage door,
Yeah.
from garages.
Yeah, from
Right.
at that stage, I still worked from our flat.
Wow.
My wife and I. So every day, at about 4:30, I would stop work and just clean up because
Right.
when my wife came home, at least it had to look a little bit decent.
Um,
But then I ended up employing about 5
Wow.
ladies working in our flat
Wow.
every day.
Yeah.
Just that was crazy. Until the landlord came to me and said,
Yeah.
what is going on here? These women coming into your flat every day. And then I realized it's time to move out. And then I moved into a single garage
Yeah.
which
So
was a bit
I'm
bigger.
also intrigued. So your wife, of course, she comes home every day. So as an entrepreneur, you're working from home, and of course the wife is like, okay, he's got his own business, he's working from home. Is she? Are you doing the right thing? You know, they always had doubt. Like they always question you.
You're touching a nerve now because my wife is an auditor.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I have the world's respect for her because I think it was very tough for her
I can
in those
yeah.
first years. I
Yeah.
mean, no, I don't even have any inclination towards earning a salary at a place. I'm just
Yeah.
focused on this little business of
Yeah.
mine. And I can tell you an interesting or funny little story. Her father is a Dutch Reformed minister, and he's very, very critical. So,
Yeah.
critical, conservative
Yeah.
in his way of doing things. I love him to bits, but that was in the beginning years we had to sort each other out. So after about 2 years when I was in business now, and I had quite a few things going then, and I felt, I'm on the up.
Yeah.
Then we bride one night, and I saw while we're brying, I'm brying, turning the meat over. I see he's like
Restless. Yeah.
restless. Something is just not right. And he cleared his throat and he said, so if this own business thing of yours doesn't work, are you going to get yourself a real job? I said, no, I'm not planning for it to fail. I'm not going to get a real job. This is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, so of course, when do we do couches? So like we've got the 3 products. We're doing the hides, we're doing the lampshades, and then you said you went to go get zebra skin two blocks away.
Yeah.
What's the 4th one?
Yeah, so that was actually, that's a funny thing about business is how the one thing leads to another, and it's not necessarily a path that you saw when you started out. It it veers off
Yeah.
and it gets a life of its own. So what happened was I heard of a small little tannery that was for sale in Bellville South. And but the problem is they wanted money for the thing. So they wanted 36,000 Rand. And so I went to a friend of mine and I told him, okay, you give 18,000 and I borrow 18,000 and then we buy this thing. And so we bought this little tannery and then we started doing skins and I started tanning my own skins. And this, I can just show the guests as well. This is now just the leather part. So it's the same, just without
They
the...
smell so, like they smell.
Yeah, they've got a smell.
Nice smell.
Without the hair. So then I started doing leather as well. Okay, and that's where the path towards furniture started.
Right.
Because then I started selling leather to customers. And I think when about the fourth or the fifth guy asked me, but don't you know of somebody who can also make the furniture? I said, yes, we can do that.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. That's where that part started. So, yeah, and that's then again, obviously, feverishly recruiting people, and that's where the furniture part started. So there was absolutely no background or any knowledge whatsoever. And still, until today, I know how the couch must look, but please don't ask me to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, it will be a complete disaster.
But I mean, let's touch on that. So, you're entrepreneur, you're saying you're doing your business, but of course, all these various, let's call it opportunities, come your way. How do you decide? Because I mean, you're having a business and you're of course thinking, okay, I've got to do the hides, I've got to do this, but now you thinking that couches might work like all the other 10 things. How do you manage all those opportunities? Because as a business owner, small business owner, you think, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that.
Yeah, the smaller you are, the first thing I want to say, the smaller you are, the less you have to lose, okay?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, when you're completely a beginner, I mean,
Yeah.
you've got absolutely nothing to lose. The second thing I want to say, you know, when you have a bass fish going in the water and you've got a lure in front of him, I mean, that poor fish, he doesn't have a choice. He has to hop. Yeah. And that's definitely part of my personality. It's very difficult for me not to jump on a opportunity. And the biggest thing I had to learn was to not jump at each opportunity, which is difficult.
Yeah.
I think now when you in your 40s, you start maturing, and you. I don't say it's wrong to start a whole lot of businesses. Some people can pull it off, but for most entrepreneurs, there has to come a time when you have to focus. And that's a difficult part.
Yeah, but I mean, on that, what's your typical day? So you've got 200 people working for you. You've got 6 outlets. What's a typical day?
So, unfortunately, my business is in that space now where it's an in-betweener. It's obviously not a big corporate, but it's not a small startup anymore.
So it's a medium enterprise.
Yeah, medium-sized enterprise. I think by the definition it also is. So my typical day, unfortunately, I'll be honest here and admit that I'm frustrated a lot, often. Let's say I'm frustrated often because I'm bogged down in emails, meetings, those kind of things, and it's hard for the entrepreneur to but you know, you just have to realize that this is part and parcel of a growing business, and you have to go with it. So, but obviously there's still, for instance, at the moment we're looking at opening a new showroom, and I'm very much involved with that. I flew up to Joburg the other day to go and look at premises there in Cape Town, and that's exciting because it's something new.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's. I think for most entrepreneurs, they get to that point where the thrill diminishes and the actual work, but which feels like work.
And I think it's also like that. Once you start employing people, there's a bigger responsibility to make things work.
So I always say, the moment you have to, your company is so big that you have to get an HR manager, then you know. So when my company was 50 strong, I got in an HR manager, and because that's just the point where it's, you know, you don't have a personal relationship with every employee. You can't have it, and you have to have those systems, and so that's was kind of a tipping point for me also.
So I mean, what time does the alarm go off, and what do we do when the alarm goes off? Is we look at emails first, or do you also have your Zen moment like entrepreneurs do, or the yoga in the morning?
Okay, so
do you want some water?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a.
Yeah, get some. Can we just get a bottle of water?
Thanks, man. When I was younger, I would flip and the alarm would go off anything from 4. The alarm wouldn't go off. I would wake myself.
Yeah.
But these days I'm much more rustiger, so I can sleep late, and there's more routine with the family and everything. But my zen time is reading.
Okay.
So I love reading.
Okay.
And also I read a lot of business books over the years. And so
I mean, sorry, what are you telling the entrepreneur that thinks, thanks Chester, here you go.
thanks so much.
What are you telling the entrepreneur that is saying, I watch YouTube for my business ideas and my business motivation, comparison to hardcover books, page by page?
The TikTok generation.
Yeah.
My children is into TikTok. I'm always onto them about that. No, I think there's a place for both. If you must throw one away, then I will. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm going to step on a few toes here.
No, but I mean, just from experience. So, of course, you're a reader. I also like reading, but I see for entrepreneur, for someone that doesn't have a lot of time, the YouTube thing is okay because you get
No, I agree with you. There's a lot to be said for that. And we have limited time. I mean, it's just how life works. You maybe have 20 minutes a day, half an hour a day. But I would still recommend reading good books and do it over your holiday time. When you have time to read 3-4 hours a day, or at least for me, that works. It works that way.
Give me 3 books that you recommend that each entrepreneur or business owner must read.
I'll give you the one that really stands out for me. Jim Collins wrote a book From Good to Great.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that book. That's an absolutely amazing book. So what they did was they looked at the big 500 biggest companies in the US, and then they looked at which companies consistently outperformed their peers.
Yeah.
And they studied those companies and they asked, what did those companies do to go from just good to great?
Yeah.
And it's actually a wonderful few principles. The first one is what they call level 5 leadership.
Yes.
And that is basically to say humble leadership. You need humble leadership. And I think that is really true. Any entrepreneurial business, if the entrepreneur wants to become flashy and showy, it's not going to work. It just doesn't work that way. You'll get the exception, but it won't work that way easily. So the second thing is, what goes with that is they say, first who, then what.
Okay.
And what they mean by that is hire for attitude. And once you're hired for attitude, then figure out what the person is going to do. And that's actually a very bold statement to think that people can, but that's what those companies did. They hired for attitude. And what I see in my business, I do believe that attitude trumps aptitude. You have to have a good attitude. That just the team spirit and everything. Then the sorry, I'm going to go through all of them because they're so
valuable.
exciting.
Yeah, that's valuable.
Then the next principle is face the brutal facts. And what they say by that is every single one of those companies had a time in their lifespan where they hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
And where they had to realize, listen, if we're going to go along this path, we're going to be killed.
Yeah.
And so you face the brutal facts, but then he says, afterward, but yet don't lose faith.
Okay.
So I think that is for me that is a strong message. I think more than once in the Incanda business career, we've also realized, listen, we've got to do things differently, and then you've got to have the courage to do that. The next principle, which is very interesting principle, is he calls the hedgehog principle.
Hedgehog, yeah.
Hedgehog, which basically tells you that once you're in a business, you've got to focus. That's the whole thing about focusing in your business. He actually draws 3 circles. He says the first circle is to say, what can you really be good at? The second circle is what is your passion? And the third circle is where can you make money? And at the intersection of those three circles, that's where you need to operate, and you need to be like a hedgehog. Once you're there, you need to. So
It's so interesting.
that again brings the question: can you start a whole lot of businesses, or must you only do one business? And the way I see it for myself is, you can start new businesses, but each business on its own must be very focused.
Yeah.
In the business itself, you mustn't try to do a lot of
All
tricks.
right, okay.
Okay, but you can start something completely separate, which has got nothing to do with this business. That's the trick,
Yeah.
to not mix
Yeah,
the businesses.
yeah.
Okay, and then the fourth principle he says is a culture of discipline. So and that if of all the things I think I believe the most in is, if you don't have a culture of discipline in your company, then it's going to go under. That's just so important. Then technology accelerates is the next principle. So that's we all understand technology accelerates. And then the last one, which is also very interesting, is he calls it the flywheel versus the doom loop. So we all know the flywheel.
Yeah.
And he says the whole success of those businesses, or a lot of the success, was due to the fact that they could work the flywheel. You start, in the beginning you can hardly move the wheel, okay, and you start, but you just work at it, work at it, and slowly but surely that wheel starts turning quicker and quicker and quicker, and then comes a period when, if there's setbacks, the wheel just goes on.
Right.
Versus where companies who didn't have that flywheel principle installed in their DNA, they would jump from the one disaster to the other disaster.
Okay.
So that's where the doom loop comes in.
Yeah.
So that's basically the principles that he gives out. And I must say, in my business, those principles are for me like a guiding star.
It's like the values of the business.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the one book I can give you.
So let's talk about the entrepreneurial journey. So what is the one mistake that stands out, and what was the biggest lesson you learned from one of those mistakes?
I know I've said it a few times now, and really I want to say it's not necessarily true for every entrepreneur. So, but for me personally, it was the one mistake was a lack of focus.
Okay.
Within, and again, if I had the knowledge then, what I have now, I probably would have started businesses as well, but I would have separated it more. It's just what I said now in the previous. So that's, and the biggest challenge for me was to actually come to the realization that, okay, this business is not going to work, and that's a hard thing to do, to face up and man up and say, okay, this is not working. But then you move on.
Yes, I'm also intrigued. What was that trigger that you said, I'm going to make couches? So couches is my thing, it's going to be my main thing. What was that thing that happened?
Oh, it was the bass seeing the lure.
All right, okay.
They were, I mean, as I explained, it's actually happened by chance. I mean, more than anything else. I honestly didn't have a clue that I was going to end up in furniture one day. You could have told me 10 other things, but I wouldn't have guessed furniture.
So why would you say Incanda is successful?
I would like to say we're successful because we're humble.
Okay.
It's a privilege to do business, and it's tough to do business, and you need to really stay humble and focused to just to stay in the game.
Because I mean, if you think of your journey, you are being 20 years in this business now. So I think
more than 20 years.
More than 20 years. What's that highlight? What is the one thing that stands out of the 20 years?
Definitely making that first couch.
Right.
That was really, it was just, you know, before that, when I did the leather and the skins, it was that was business, but it wasn't. Making a couch was one step further. It was starting a factory, starting something new. You know, really producing something of value.
Yeah.
I want to say. So
Yeah.
so that was probably the most exciting moment. I must say, what keeps also what stays exciting is to employ people. I must say, I've never lost the drive for employing people. It's hard work, but it's really fulfilling to employ. I mean, that's part of why I thought that I want to go into manufacturing.
Yeah.
Or I enjoyed going into manufacturing is because I realized I'm going to be employing people. So
Yeah, and I mean, 20 years later, 200 people later, it's a significant business.
it is, and unfortunately, I don't know all the people's names anymore. that's past. But yes, it's a nice business to have.
Yeah.
And I come there in the morning and I feel a sense of achievement and responsibility. Yeah.
So I've just got a few questions here from an entrepreneurial perspective. So, what advice would you give a new business owner?
So I would say that profit or turnover is vanity. Profit is sanity, but cash flow is reality.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
keep your cash flow, no matter how difficult it is, keep your cash flow under control. Find a way to get cash flow. Speak to your suppliers, borrow friends and family, whatever, but a small business in the beginning can come to a grinding halt because of cash flow. So I would say that is the most important thing.
Are you a salesperson, or are you a marketer, or do you have someone doing it for you?
I am definitely a bit of a marketer, a bit of a salesperson. And in the beginning, I mean, you can listen to my story, I said to the guy, you know, I'll do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So definitely that's in my genes. And unfortunately, these days, I don't really get to be on the sales floor that much anymore. But with big deals, I can still work the sale.
So, from working in a garage to having this organization, what's the one thing you miss of being a small business?
I can't say wearing pluckies because I still wear pluckies every day. I almost want to say I miss not having a personal relationship with all the people anymore. When you're 10, when you're 20, when you're 30, I mean, you know what goes on in that person's house.
Yeah.
You see him coming in the morning and you see, that happened again last night or whatever. And that's a precious thing. But now it's just too big. And what then happens is you end up having a relationship with fewer people because there's just too many to. So that's, I suppose that's where corporate comes in, né? When there gets a point where people are not involved in their fellow employees' lives anymore. So that's, again, we're a medium-sized business now. It's not so easy to do that anymore.
How do you plan the future of your business?
Okay, so that's a good question. I don't want Incanda to become a large company. I would rather then start something new. Then I don't like the idea of a very big company. What I want is, I want Incanda to still have a bit more traction. So open a showroom, maybe another one in Joburg, one in Durban, maybe one in the Garden Route because there's a lot of activity there as well. And then have a solid business which has a countrywide reach, and then grow that business and really hone its skills and become brilliant at what we do, and then rather, you know, if I have that desire, start something new. We also have, you wouldn't probably know that, but because it's not in that story, is we've got a sister company called African Leather.
Right.
So when I started making the furniture, I realized the furniture part and the wholesaling of the skins are actually two completely different animals. So I split the company in two, and the skins and leather selling we made into we called it African Leather, and so that company still has a lot of growth left in it. And yeah, if we can go a bit international there, I would love that. But that's a separate journey.
Yeah. So I don't know if you also have your 5-year plan or your 10-year plan, but what's the next big thing for Incanda?
So at the moment we are producing almost everything ourselves. So literally all the furniture. But unfortunately, the market has just turned in such a way that we have to import as well. So that's the next step for me. So I also want to import a bit. It's a bit against the grain of the business, but unfortunately we have to go there.
Yeah. What keeps you going?
Oh, well, the first thing that keeps me going is my family. I'm a big family man. I've got 2 lovely children and a lovely wife, and that's my biggest motivation every day to get up and do things. But then secondly, again, in the business itself, it's the people. So we're definitely a very people-orientated business, and it comes from me. I'm a people's person, and I find my joy and strength from working with people.
If you had a billboard up on the main road and your face is there and there's a speech bubble, what would you want to tell the world? Not just shop by Incanda, but what did you want to tell? What did you want to tell the world?
Oh my goodness! You're quick on me. Okay, in one sense, I would just say. Maybe I would want to say, don't take yourself so seriously. Because people tend to take themselves very seriously. I see it with clients. I see it with suppliers. So I would, on one part of me would want to say, just chill a little bit. The other part would say, stay humble. If I must say something that's not part of my business, but it's hard to say stay humble when you also have to advertise the business, and so it's a bit of a tightrope that you walking there.
How's your client service? Because of course you're selling a product that's quite a niche product, good quality. So of course your clientele is also have expectations. How do you handle that?
So the problem with leather is it's got natural marks. And I mean, if you look, I don't think the people will be able to see, but see, there's a mark. So we sell a product that is natural, that has got blemishes on. So in our furniture, we try to educate the customer as well as possible before the time. Listen, there's going to be natural scratches and marks and blemishes and all those things, but you can't satisfy all your customers. So we in Incanda have a saying. We say it's not about making the mistake, it's about how you correct it.
Right. Nice.
So then you have to. We have a policy. Any customer complaint that there's the salesperson see there's kind of a problem, it immediately escalates to me.
Nice.
So then I phone the customer directly.
Nice.
Say, hello, Tani. I'm so sorry to hear about your problem. How can we help? So customer service needs to be very personalized.
Right.
The moment the customer complains, it becomes personal. And the only way you can rectify that is by also becoming personal.
Yeah.
Then you, for instance, I tell my people, don't email the customer, phone the customer, because phoning is
Personal,
more
yeah.
personal than
Yeah.
emailing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm proud of our customer service. I think it's one of the things we do right. But unfortunately, what is also true is as the company becomes bigger, and because we've got such a drive to tell customers about our quality.
Yeah.
Customers would now 10 years back, 12 years back, 14 years back come to us and say, listen, my couch needs repairing or whatever. And obviously we can't give such a long guarantee.
Yeah.
But you have to work with that also. So we've got this base load of customers coming back 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, 10 years, 11 years that we also need to handle. So that's one of the next things I need to do. I need to have set up in the business. I need to set up a completely separate customer repair center or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
How important is watching what the competition is doing?
Unfortunately, it is important. So we in South Africa, we are only a few guys that make our furniture ourselves. So if you, so for instance, like Coricraft, Weylands, SofaWorks, those kind of guys. And unfortunately, we watch each other very closely. And you'll see our prices are...
How do you watch Coricraft? You walk into the showroom.
You walk into the shop. So I once made the mistake of stopping with my Incanda branded bakkie right in front of one of the shops and walk in. And they said, oh, you're from Incanda. So yeah.
Okay, so it's important, but as a business owner, is it important? Yeah. As a business owner, should you be spending energy watching, or should you just be focused on your own business?
I think in most instances the answer is you should more be focused on your business than watching the competition. So having said that, there's a balance. I mean, so we need to know what our competition does.
Yeah.
But focusing, you see what your competition does, but then get your focus back and do what every company has its niche, and you have to work that niche very well.
So if a big corporate comes to you and says, "Hi Gerhard, I mean, we've seen it in the news now. We like your business. We want to buy it." Would you say?
If the price is right, yes. Yeah, it will be a tough thing for me to do because of the people again. And I would definitely, I would definitely want the people to feel safe and secure in such a thing. But yes, I mean, you've worked so long and so hard to get here. You're not going to just give it away. But as I said, if the price is right, then there's always the option.
Cool. 3 last questions. If you could have supper with 3 people around your table at an Incanda table on Incanda chairs, 3 people dead or alive, who would those 3 people be?
Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, and who would the third person be? I would say Mother Teresa.
Very zen people. Pinch myself moment in Gerhard's life. Like, wow, this is really happening, Gerhard.
Sure. I think when I employed my first employee, it was maybe the big moment for me.
What is your go-to app?
Oh, you're not going to believe it. Nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, like, a business owner, how do you keep up to date? If you're always on the road, you're always busy. I mean,
to be honest with you, I don't think I keep up to date. I'm not good at that. Oh well, I do listen to some podcasts and but that's about it.
Yeah. So we don't have like a social media app that we're watching what's happening.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
Okay. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Sure. Yes, you're asking difficult questions.
It's Marvel season, I must.
Yeah. Yo. Well, obviously, if you have the ability to see things before they happen, but that can't be a superpower. That's omnipotent.
Yeah, yeah. And then lastly, what was the last movie you cried in?
Oh.
You're probably watching a lot of kiddie stories now. Anyway.
Yeah. The last movie I cried in. I don't want to say Titanic because there was definitely others after that, but that's the last one I could. So my wife cried a lot about Titanic. I can remember I loved squeezing her. Squeezing is not the right word. You know what I mean.
And then how much time do you watch TV? So, I mean, do we watch TV?
Very little,
Nice.
very little. I had funny that you asked that now because for the first time in years I actually started watching a Netflix series now for a few weeks.
What are we watching?
What is it? The Designated Survivor.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but I'm fed up with that now. I'm not a TV person.
And then lastly, if you have 10 or 20 entrepreneurs in front of you, and Gerhard's at this Stadsaal in the main road, and he's got his Incanda Day, what are you telling entrepreneurs today? So they're looking up to Gerhard, successful businessman. What are you telling them? What to do, what not to do, advice?
Well, I'll wish on all of them to have courage, because you have to have courage to be in today's environment. But I'll probably tell them, believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're dead in the water.
Yeah. How important is consistency in your business for you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, now it's definitely much more important than it was in the beginning. In the beginning, I would, be all over the place. But definitely now it's very important.
Okay. Normally we ask people that if they have any questions from the business owners on how to make porcupine lampshades. Also work the yellow pages to find zebra skin. Are there any questions from you guys?
Balance between personal and business life.
That's a difficult one, because if you don't do anything about it, the business life just takes over. So for me, at this point in my life, spending time with my kids is what keeps me sane. So you have to make a concerted effort to spend time with your.
Any other questions?
Do you outsource your sales, or do you keep it in-house?
No, everything is in-house. So skills is a difficult one. We don't really have schools that really teach those skills. So we have to. Most of our training is in-house. So luckily, there's always a few master artisans, and then from there you train in-house.
So yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I know entrepreneurs don't have time, and for you to give us an hour of your time, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, thanks so much. I really enjoyed the conversation. It was really light-hearted. It was funny. It was it was really valuable as well. So thanks so much for that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.